Connecticut Congressman John Larson joins me now. He's the House Democratic Caucus Chair, also a fellow native nutmegger. Hello, Congressman Larson.
Hey, Chris, how are you?
I'm well, thank you. I want to play something that the Majority Leader in the House, Eric Cantor, had to say yesterday to the White House about these budget negotiations, and let's come back and talk about it.
Where are the specifics? Where are the discussions? Nothing is going on. Meanwhile, the people of this country are the ones that suffer. So we ask the president, sit down with us, be serious about the specifics of spending so we can stop the wasteful spending in Washington and finally address the problem.
So, Congressman, is that an accurate assessment? Eric Cantor essentially saying nothing is happening. And if it is an accurate assessment, how worried are you about this this deadline that is now, a couple weeks away?
Well, let's say, to be charitable to the Majority Leader, that it's the specificity of his proposal is lacking itself. Clearly, first of all, Chris, as you know, Congress has got to be here in order to work. And we've been in session the fewest times in the history of any Congress in recent memory. And that, with the enormous task that we face in front of us, of both putting the country back to work, first and foremost, and then dealing with tax cuts for the middle class, which will create the kind of certainty that every single person of all stripes, whether you're in the middle class, whether you're lower middle, or whether you're very wealthy, we have a bill waiting to be taken up in the House of Representatives that the president will sign. And we can easily put people back to work, address our infrastructure problems, underscored by what happened in the Northeast with Sandy and the commitment between a New Jersey governor and the President of the United States, that we can work together to rebuild the infrastructure, streamline regulations. Jobs are neither Democrat or Republican. It's all about helping the American people out, but they're not here to do that.
Now, Congressman, let me ask you this. House Democrats, many, Nancy Pelosi and others, have been relatively vocal to say we don't need to give all that much on this if there is going to be a deal. That Democrats don't need to give. They won the election. President Obama campaigned on many of the things that he's pushing. Number one, do you agree? And number two, what role, if that is the view of House Democrats, what role can House Democrats play in influencing that process, since it seems like this is being cast as President Obama and John Boehner and almost nobody else?
Well, I think the role that the House Democrats have played all along is that we continue to put forward an agenda that is acceptable to all sides. As I mentioned, jobs, first and foremost. Back home at Augie and Ray's, Chris, they're not talking about sequestration. They're saying, look, why can't you guys get together and create the jobs that we need? Only within the Beltway do we become obsessed with this thing. They expect, as a Congress and as adults, we're going to sit down and work this thing through. I still believe that that will happen. And I think Democrats have just, and especially in the House, have got to remain crystal clear on what we're for. We're for the creation of jobs. We're for tax cuts for the middle class. These are something that both sides can agree to. And yes, we have to address the long-term concerns that, to quote Paul Ryan, that are underscored and addressed by the costs of health care in general. We're going to be able to do that when we get back. We should be able to cooperate on another thing. But the leader is right in saying this. Look, in the Budget Control Act, we've already $1 trillion out of here. These are things that are artificially contrived, and that's why we're dealing with it. I say artificially contrived. The debt ceiling debate and debacle. Never in our history, 17 times under Ronald Reagan, we raised the debt limit. You know all of these facts. So
yes, indeed.
Indeed, I think what we need to do is continue to press the case. That's why we've got a discharge petition that's there in front of us. We're not that far away from Republicans wanting to sign on to this and get on with it and turn the page and come back in January and get after, tax reform in general, but also bending the cost of health care and reducing our debt, having health care more accessible.
An optimistic note, Congressman, I have to leave it there, and you'll get me every time with those Connecticut references. Thank you.
You're welcome, Chris.